Hello, welcome to Z Marie Design. Let's create some rope yarn using embroidery floss. I use my rope yarn to make purse charms or to make tassels to hang from my handbags. So let's get started. So you can start with any size embroidery skein. I'm going to start with this orange one. It's a bit longer embroidery skein. And I'm going to find where one end of the embroidery, where it starts. And then I'm going to start unwinding my embroidery floss. And to unwind it, I just put it in a pool right there on my table, so that it doesn't get knotted when I do the next step. So I'm almost at the end of my embroidery floss, and there is my beginning right there. So I'm going to take the end of the embroidery floss and I will meet it up with the beginning of the embroidery floss. And match those two ends together. Then I'll hold on to those and I will start to find the center. So this time I'm going to just let it hang over the side of my table so that it doesn't get knotted up. And even though it looks like a bird's nest, if you just gently tug on it, you'll be able to not have it knotted. So I was pretty lucky. I didn't get any knots in it. But I think I'm going to find a better way to pull this the next time. Hanging it off the side of my table seemed to work pretty good. I think I'll do that the next time. If for some reason it does get knotted and you can't get it out, just cut right here at that knot if it gets knotted, and then that will be your center. So I found the center. I'm going to now match it up with my end, 2 strands. So now I have 4 strands all together. And I will now begin to find the center of those 4 strands. I'll do the same thing. Just let it hang off the side of my table. And I think I'm having so much trouble with it because the skein of embroidery floss was so large to begin with. If you're using just a regular size skein of embroidery floss, I don't think you'll have this much trouble with it possibly getting tangled. So I found the center. Now I'm going to match it up with my 4 strands. That now gives me 6 strands all total. I'll match those up and then I'll do the same thing. Let it hang off the side of my table. Actually, I just did it right under my ruler. And then I'm going to find the center of those 6 strands. Now I found the center. I'll match those up to my other ends parts. And now I'm matching 4 strands to my 6 strands. That now gives me 10. So I have 10 strands on this very large embroidery skein. I'll once again put it under my ruler and I'll find the center again. Now I will match those 6 up to my 10. That gives me 16. I'll find the center. And now I have my center. So I'm going to tie a knot at the beginning and the ending strands that I met from the beginning. I'll tie a knot there. And then I'll take some tape and I'm going to tape it to my table at the knot. And then with those strands, I'm going to just start twisting those. And I'm twisting to the right. Now I did time this so that to see how long it would take me to twist it, the time that it takes to make it really tight. It took me about 3 to 5 minutes to twist this strand. And I'll show you the point that you're trying to get to so that you'll know that your twisting is tight enough. So once you've twisted it, once you have that tension in your twisting, when you release the tension and you see you have those knots there, straighten the knots out and continue twisting a bit more. But that's the point that you're trying to get at. That's when you know that you have enough twist in your embroidery rope. So straighten those knots out. I twist just a bit more for good measure. I continue to straighten out those knots as I release the tension. Hold on to the tension in the center and match those ends. Now you're holding in the center. Once you let that center go and you're going to twist, but those twists will automatically continue to twist on one another, and that's how you're going to create your yarn rope. I then pick up those strands, I do a little bit more twisting, and then I'm going to tie a knot at the end where the knot was already tied. Tie a knot in the end, and now that rope will continue to hold its shape. And then I trim all of those off, including the original knot that I put in, and I trim it off. And at this point, your yarn rope is all done, ready to hang on your back. But I'm going to add a tassel and I'm going to add some beads to the end of mine. I'm going to start by taking another skein of embroidery floss. I don't take the end papers off. I'm just going to put it in between those two twisted ropes. I'm going to find the center. And then with another piece of embroidery floss, I'm going to wrap it around and tie a double knot at the neck of that embroidery floss to create that tassel. And then I'll just start wrapping one end of the embroidery floss around the neck until I like the look of the neck of the tassel. So you can make this as wide as you like or as thin as you like. Then cut off a piece of that tassel and then tie a knot. And I'm tying a double knot. So I wrap it around and then I go through the loop and pull. And then with that end of the embroidery floss, I'm going to put it through my needle. And if it's frayed a bit, you can put a little glue on the end or a piece of tape on the end and then thread it through your needle. Once I've threaded it through my needle, I go underneath the neck of my tassel and pull it through. And then I'm going to trim the tassel off. And now that rope yarn is all done with the tassel on the end. Now I'm going to do another one, but this time I'm going to put the tassel where the knot is. So I'm going to separate the two rope yarns. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but this time I'm just covering the knot. And I'm going to make sure that the knot is embedded in between both halves of what's going to become of my tassel. Again, tying the knot at the neck. I need 4 hands to do this, but I only have 2, so we're gonna make it work. Tie a double knot. Again, wrap it around to create the neck of the tassel. And I'm just finagling it, all of that embroidery floss around just to make sure that my knot on the end of the rope yarn is covered. And you can also make sure that it's covered by wrapping around more embroidery floss around that neck. Once it's all, it's where you like it, cut it off, tie a knot. A double knot. Putting it in my needle, and I'm going to go again through the neck of the floss there, just to bury my thread. And then I'm going to trim. Now I'm going to add some beads onto the other end of the rope yarn. So I'm going to take a bobby pin and I'm going to put it through my rope yarn first. I'm going to separate my 2 strands of rope yarn and put my bobby pin through there, and then I will feed my bobby pin in through my beads. I'll start with my small one, feed it through, and then pull it right onto the rope tassel, and then do a larger one, and then do a smaller one again. And the rope tassel is thick enough that your beads won't fall off. And then take my safety pin out, my bobby pin out, and that rope tassel is all done with tassel and beads. So these are what some of my rope yarns look like with the tassels and the beads, and I'm going to use those as purse charms. So I hope you like this project, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching.